The crash of my body hitting the kitchen floor echoed like a thunderclap in our quiet suburban home. I let my head loll to the side, eyes half shut, pretending the world had gone black. But through the slits, I watched her, my wife Elena, frozen mid-step with a wine glass in hand. Her face twisted from casual concern to something sharper, almost relieved. "David? Oh God, David," she cried. But her voice lacked the raw panic I'd heard when our dog got hit by a car years ago. No, this was rehearsed. My heart hammered against my ribs, not from the fall, but from the suspicion that had been gnawing at me for months. Why did I always feel dizzy after dinner? Tonight, I hadn't swallowed the last bite. Tonight, I faked it all. Elena knelt beside me, her fingers pressing against my neck in a way that felt too clinical, too detached. "Wake up, honey. Come on." Her perfume, that floral scent I'd once loved, now turned my stomach. We'd been married 12 years. High school sweethearts who built a life from nothing. She was the artist, chaotic and passionate. I was the steady engineer, fixing what broke. But lately, everything felt broken. The dizziness started subtly, a woozy haze after our evening meals. At first, I blamed work stress, the long hours at the firm. "You're just tired," she'd say, stroking my hair as I slumped on the couch. But it escalated, blackouts that left me waking groggy, alone in bed, while she claimed she'd been reading or walking the dog. Denial wrapped around me like a warm blanket. Elena wouldn't hurt me. She couldn't. As she fumbled for her phone, I kept my breathing shallow, body limp. Suspicion had rooted deep last week when I found an empty pill bottle in the trash, sedatives, prescribed to her for anxiety after her mother's death. But she hadn't mentioned refills. Why hide it? My mind raced through excuses. Maybe she was embarrassed or protecting me from worry. Yet the doubt festered, turning love into a fragile thing. I loved her fiercely once, her laugh that filled rooms, the way she'd dance in the kitchen to old jazz records. Now every touch felt like a question mark. She dialed, but not 911. "It's me," she whispered into the phone, glancing at my unconscious form. "Yeah, he's out again. Give me 20 minutes. My blood turned to ice. Who was she talking to? Anger flickered beneath the heartbreak, a spark in the dark. I wanted to leap up, demand answers, but I stayed still, letting the scene play out. She hung up, then gently shook me. "David? If you can hear me." No response from me. Satisfied, she stood, her heels clicking across the tile as she grabbed her coat from the hook. The front door creaked open, then shut with a soft click. Silence swallowed the house. I waited 5 agonizing minutes, my mind a storm of emotions. Heartbreak clawed at my chest. How could she? Suspicion morphed into a bitter certainty. I rose quietly, peering through the blinds. Her car backed out of the driveway, headlights slicing the night. Where was she going? The dog whined from his crate, sensing the tension. I grabbed my keys, heart pounding with a mix of dread and resolve. Following her felt like betrayal on my part, but trust had crumbled weeks ago. The streets were empty under the street lamps, her taillights a red beacon leading me downtown. She parked outside a dimly lit bar, the kind with neon signs flickering open like a bad omen. I pulled over a block away, slipping into the shadows. Through the window, I saw her slide into a booth opposite a man, tall, dark-haired, laughing as he leaned in close. My stomach dropped. It was Mark, her old college friend who'd reconnected at that art gallery event months back. She'd mentioned him casually, just catching up on old times. But this? Her hand on his arm, their heads bent together, it screamed intimacy. Denial shattered like glass. How long? Why? Anger surged, hot and blinding. I wanted to storm in, shatter their little bubble, but I froze, tears stinging my eyes. This was my wife, the woman who'd vowed forever. I drove home in a daze, the city lights blurring through my windshield. Back in the kitchen, I paced, replaying every subtle clue. The late nights at the studio, the secretive texts she'd delete, the way her eyes avoided mine during dinner. The sedatives, God, was she drugging me? To buy time for this? The thought twisted like a knife. I loved her enough to ignore the signs, to cling to the Elena I knew. The one who'd held me through job losses, who'd painted our future in vibrant colors. But this Elena? She was a stranger, motivated by what? Boredom? The thrill of forbidden passion? It hurt to humanize it. To understand that maybe our routine had dulled her spark, that Mark offered excitement I couldn't. But understanding didn't dull the pain. It amplified it. The phone rang, jolting me from my spiral. My sister, Sarah. David? You okay? I just saw Elena at O'Malley's with some guy. They looked close. I didn't want to say anything before, but I've seen them before. Weeks ago. I thought maybe it was nothing, but tonight, kissing in the booth? I'm so sorry. Her voice cracked with empathy, but it was the final blow. The collapse of trust hit like a wave, drowning me in grief. Sarah's call revealed what I'd half known, confirming the betrayal in stark, unavoidable terms. Anger boiled over. How dare she play me for a fool? But beneath it, heartbreak reigned, a hollow ache for the life we'd lost. Elena returned an hour later, slipping in quietly as if nothing happened. I sat at the table, the pill bottle in front of me like evidence in a trial. She froze in the doorway, eyes widening. David? You're awake? I just stepped out for air. You were out cold. Air? With Mark. My voice was steady, but inside I shattered. She paled, stammering denials that crumbled under my gaze. The dizziness, Elena. The pills. How long have you been slipping them into my food? So you could sneak off. Tears streamed down her face. It wasn't like that. I felt trapped. You were always working and Mark, he listened. The pills were just to help you rest. I never meant to hurt you. Her words were a plea, raw and desperate, revealing her own pain, loneliness in our marriage, the slow drift we'd both ignored. But motivations didn't excuse the deceit. We argued, voices rising in the kitchen that once echoed with laughter. Accusations flew. My neglect, her infidelity. It was messy, human, two broken people unraveling. In the end, I asked her to leave. She packed a bag, sobbing apologies that echoed hollow. As the door closed behind her, silence descended, heavy and final. Heartbreak lingered, a ghost in the empty house, but so did a strange relief, closure in the truth. Anger faded to sorrow, denial to acceptance. Trust might rebuild elsewhere, but here it was ashes. I poured a drink, staring at the pill bottle, reflecting on how love could sour so silently. Life goes on, scarred but wiser, a reminder that even the deepest bonds can fracture under unspoken weights.